Hey, let's go to our guest line. Bring on our first guest today. As promised, we are pleased to be joined by the new general manager of the Syracuse men's basketball program, Cuse grad himself, Alex Kline, joining us here on the show. Alex, great to have you on. How are you today?
Hey, guys. I'm doing fantastic. How's everyone this way?
We're doing what? Yeah, go ahead, Paul.
We're doing good. And, it's funny. We were talking in the office here, and there's the TV show The Office. You've got this new position. So my first question is going to be, what exactly do you do here in Syracuse?
It's a little bit of everything, guys. We're trying to be as modern as possible, as forward-thinking as possible, and that's where, me coming from the NBA, coaches coach, and the front office and scouts scout and strategize. And I think, a big part of my job will be helping on the evaluation side. It'll be helping with, the NIL component. It'll be helping with the donor relation component. It'll be partially strategic, trying to develop and implement new processes, new technology, new ideas, and really just make sure that we're at the forefront of college athletics and the ever-changing landscape of it. And I know it's broad, but I think we're trying to, as I had 2 weeks on the job now, trying to, figure out what we need to improve upon, where we're in a good place on, and just where we can grow. And I think we have a lot of great collaboration in the office already.
Alex, can you let us know how this whole thing came about? You're doing your thing in the NBA, and, did Adrian Autry approach you? I mean, how did this whole new position come to be?
I think we both kind of needed each other at the same time, to be perfectly honest with you. I think that's where it's a perfect marriage where, I wanted a new challenge. I'm really intrigued by this world of college athletics and NIL, and I got to be around college athletics for such a long time when I was, I had my recruiting website, my charity basketball event, as well as being in the NBA and scouting these college guys. Coach Autry and I go back probably 10-plus years to when I was a student. And I think there was just a really great synergy between us. And I think that's the key word I was looking for in all of this was alignment. I wanted to be with someone and a staff that really valued me. I value them. We kind of see basketball the same way. And ultimately, it was something that would take a lot to leave the Knicks because of, the brand that is the New York Knicks, the leadership there, and the fact that we were rolling. I mean, back-to-back Eastern Conference semifinals appearances goes a long way. But truth be told, really want to be back around the team, impact the guys from a mentorship standpoint. But also I think college athletics is heading in such a unique direction where it is so similar to pro sports. That's where I think so much of what I did and what I know and have learned the last 8 years in the NBA, it can be implemented and mirrored to college basketball. And I think we can do some really, really cutting edge things that will, put us at the top with the rest of the Blue Bloods.
You say you want Syracuse to be at the forefront. Where does Syracuse sit right now, do you think, compared to other schools when it comes to the position you're in?
I think it's in a good place. I think it could be in an even better place. I think most importantly, Coach Autry and his staff, they are modern thinkers. They think the game in a modern way, and they embrace analytics. They embrace strategy and technology, and they want to do things at a modern way. And that was really appealing to me where not every program is like that. And I think the fact that Coach Autry is giving me the autonomy and creative freedom to really do what I want with this position. We're obviously on the same page and there is alignment, but I think that was most appealing to this and why I chose to be here. And obviously there's a familiarity and comfort level with the program, and I kind of know the program inside and out. But I think we are going from good to great. And it's going to take a little time, but I think we're heading in the right direction, and, we're building out those processes as we speak.
You mentioned a moment ago that, this is kind of the direction college athletics is heading, and, this is a generally new position, not unique to Syracuse, though. We've seen other general managers pop up in football and basketball, at other Power 5 programs around the country. Why is a position like this necessary, not just at Syracuse, but why is this position necessary at, a major Division I, college basketball and football program?
I just don't think coaches have enough time in the day. There's 24 hours, and in those 24 hours, you have to coach your team, you have to manage your players, manage the parents, manage agents, manage recruiting, manage fundraising, practice planning, player development. Like, there's so much going on, whereas in the NBA and on the pro side, very simple. Everyone kind of plays their role, and it just, coaches are coaching. Coach Tibbs in New York, when it's December 31st and we're playing the Miami Heat, he's focused on that game, maybe the game before that and the game after that. He's not focused on, Duke, Alabama basketball and all the players in that game. So I think that's where this position is necessary, because you're dealing with so much more. You're dealing with the transfer portal nonstop. You're dealing with roster construction and roster management, and it's a 24-hour-a-day, 365-day thing. You're dealing with the agents. You're dealing with marketing and branding, and you're dealing with fundraising and donor relations, and there's not enough time to be great in everything, and I think that's where a position like this can help all avenues of an athletic department and a basketball and football program, by just allowing everyone the opportunities and tools to really hone in on what they do well.
What will your job be as a talent evaluator? And second part of this question is, with the transfer portal, how do you handle that? Because it's not like NBA free agency where you can watch somebody and know they're going to be available at the end of the season. You've only got like a 3-week window here to get somebody in the transfer portal.
Well, I think that's where you have to, similar to what we did in the NBA, be prepared for everyone, watch everyone. And I know that sounds like a daunting task, but someone's got to do it. So, we have to be as efficient with our time as possible to make sure that we're bringing in the right student athletes, the right character guys, the right talent that fits what Coach Autry and staff want to do. And that's where I think my job is to cut out the fat. That way, when I can present them with options as the year goes on, and we kind of have an idea of who we like, who we don't like, who we value, who we prioritize, whether they go in the portal or not. And that's really what it is. And, obviously you have to see who actually goes in, but I think the best preparation is, if a guy does go in, you figure out real quickly, oh, we actually like him, or no, we'll pass, because you're going to get tons of calls, and that's just what it's going to be. As far as my involvement in recruiting, there will be times where I sub in and go on the road and evaluate and recruit. There will be times where I just work from the office and, watch film. And I think, look, we did a draft in a pandemic. We've done regular drafts, so I can operate off film. I can operate in person. I can be very versatile, but I think most importantly, we have 3 really, really, really great recruiters in our assistant coaches, and Dan and Brendan and Griff. Obviously, Coach Autry is, tremendous at recruiting himself. They're all great evaluators. I think I'll be able to complement them and help them, and we'll all be able to, function well together in order to make sure that, we prioritize substance over status.
I want to follow up on Paulie's question about being a talent evaluator of guys who are currently college players, not the high school recruits, but the potential transfers. Is it fair to say, Alex, that once you get into the season, Coach Autry and his staff and the players, their primary focus is on this season. Once the season starts, is your main focus on next year and roster reconstruction? I mean, is that one of your top priorities?
Yeah, no, that'll be a real priority, because, again, they're going to be focused on practice and game planning and strategizing. And, for me, I play my role, and if they want my opinion on certain things, I'm happy to give it. But at the end of the day, a big portion of this position, similar to what, a general manager in a front office does at the NBA level, is you're constantly preparing for the future. You're constantly preparing for change, and you're just trying to figure out what is best for the long-term roster.
I think you're obviously an impressive young man. You got a vision for this. How far off, how far is the gap between where Syracuse basketball is right now and where you think they need to be? Is it something that, can that gap be closed in a year? Is it something that, for them to get back contending for Final Fours, it's going to take 5 years or more?
I think it's much closer than we think. I think, fans at the end of the day will always want the 5-star recruits, the McDonald's All-Americans. And I think, look, we're going to get those. We're going to have our fair share of them. But at the same time, I think that's where we're going to try to do things a little differently with our money. We're going to try to be fiscally responsible. We're going to try to give out, good contracts rather than bad contracts. And I think, it's something that we did a really good job of with the New York Knicks, of getting really good role players on really good contracts. And as a result, your salary cap wasn't jacked up and you were able to have really good depth. And I think that's something that we can achieve here very, very soon. I think, like anything, the first part is awareness. And I think everyone in our building is aware of where we need to grow, where we need to be. And I think that's why this position was created. So to me, I think we're close to, what we need to be and where we need to go. And it's exciting. It's really exciting. I think this was a super outside the box move. And I think college athletics a lot of times can be reactive rather than proactive. And I think Coach Autry's decision and the staff's decision to allow me to play to my strengths is a very proactive move. And I think, the athletic department is being very proactive, and you have to be in the ever-changing landscape that is NIL and eventually revenue sharing in college athletics.
Yeah, I was going to ask you obviously don't have a crystal ball, but how long before it becomes the university is actually putting contracts out for these kids? And secondly, how long do you think it's possible there'll be a day where kids will be getting multi-year contracts so we don't see them leaving in the transfer portal every year?
I think it's one of those things where you have to use your wildest imagination, because anything is possible in this landscape. If we look at the last 2 years, look at how much has changed and evolved. So, I think contracts are absolutely on the table. I think, multiple year contracts are absolutely on the table. I don't think there's anything not on the table, because at this point we're kind of on the forefront, and it's everything's very groundbreaking at this point. So, obviously you have to follow the NCAA rules. You have to follow, what your institution says. But ultimately, I think that's where teams now need to push the boundaries and be creative and be different. And, I just saw today, Oklahoma University football, they're hiring a former Philadelphia Eagles front office member to, help with cap strategy. And that's where everyone now has to be, again, like I said, proactive and not reactive. And that's why, guys, I believe in this program, because they are proactive, and we need to be proactive. We cannot be reactive. And look, there are going to be times where you have to be reactionary. Things are changing quickly, and there are other creative people in the business. But I think being proactive in this industry wins right now. It's going to help, and it may not. Who knows what that impacts wins and losses. But I think when you have good processes, you have good people, you have creative ideas, you can be different. And I think we're going to be different in how we think and how we evaluate and how we build our roster. And just behind the scenes, I think we're already starting to see some really cool ideas come to fruition.
Last question for me, Alex. Can you give us a sneak peek of this year's team, this year's roster? I mean, what are your initial impressions of what you're working with?
Yeah, no, it's a really energetic, connected group. They really, really love each other, which is really cool to see and be a part of. And, as someone this is my intro to college basketball, maybe I'm, it's new for me, so I didn't know what to expect. But we have a really, really mature group of young men. I think that comes with, a number of grad students, seniors, juniors. Our freshmen are very mature as well. I think they're all about basketball. We've had some really, really good practices and workouts, and I think from a leadership standpoint, we're in a good place too. Guys who are finding their voices, guys who are about the team. So it's been really enlightening for me, enjoyable for me, because these guys are easy, really, really easy to work with. And, there's a lot to be excited about, quite frankly.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like it. Alex, we appreciate the time. Congratulations on the new job, and we look forward to working with you here as things move along. Enjoy the summer, and I'm sure we'll be talking basketball with you again before too long.
Thanks so much, guys. Enjoy your summer.
All right, Alex Kline, general manager of Syracuse men's basketball.
He said a word that came up a lot last year. It may have cost a couple games. Maturity, right?
Yeah.
That was a huge problem last year. If that was probably the first word that came up with last year's team, if you had to say it had one deficiency, it was maturity.
Yeah.
And if he thinks these guys are mature, that's a good sign going into the year.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday when you weren't here, about this group. It was talented last year, but they were hard to coach, I think. And I don't think we're speaking out of turn to say that. And this team is older. They seem more mature.
I mean, when's the last time someone got kicked off the team?
Right.
Like and it wasn't just one guy. It was a problem.
It seemed like there was some tension in that locker room, and on the court at times.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's like I got to see the locker room. It's not as if, I don't think it was player to player. I think it was just a group of immature kids. Like, I don't think they didn't get along. I don't think they weren't trying to win. I just don't think it wasn't a good fit.
Yeah.
It was it was kind of weird. They're all wired the same way, and it was immaturely.
Yeah, they weren't all on the same page with each other. And I think there's a reason some of the guys are no longer here. Now, some of it was players made decisions they wanted to leave.
Yeah.
I think some of it was, mutual decisions as well, that it might be best to move on from certain players. And, they've reconstructed the roster. You've got, guys like Chris Bell and J.J. Starling and Kyle Cuff as holdovers, but a lot of new pieces. And, again, more mature pieces, older pieces, hopefully more physical pieces. It's gonna be a different look to this team going into 2024, 2025.